Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. For today, we're going over UFC London, Aspinall versus Blaydes. First things first, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that bell so you know when every new video goes up, generally on Wednesday nights. In addition, we always have stuff going up on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media, we're there. And as always, we will go over really briefly. Last week's card, we crushed, man. We went 5 of 6 on official picks, and honestly, unofficial picks, we went 6 of 7 because we did have Dustin Jacoby. I did flip, and with all of the Daun Jung hype, I did not flip to the Daun Jung side, but I had Dustin Jacoby as a lock. I ended up switching that out for Emily Ducati, and they both hit. So technically went 5 of 6, but if you count the original Dustin one, where we went 6 of 7, the only thing we missed was that over with Muslim Solikov and the Leech. I did pick the Leech to win. I did say bet Leech. But I thought it would be a decision. I didn't think it would be a early knockout, so we missed on the over there. But all in all, phenomenal, profitable night. Last week we're looking to keep it going. Just remember, just like last week's card, this one is early. It is a very early start time, 12 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you don't miss any fights. It is a phenomenal card. Honestly, not, I wouldn't say pay-per-view worthy, but honestly, this week's card may be better than the pay-per-view the following week, in all honesty. But all in all, great card. Can't wait to talk about it. A lot of interesting fights, a lot of huge favorites. But we're here to make sure you pick the right one. So looking at the very first fight of the night, it gets sketchy right off the jump. We have Nicholas Dalby at minus 250 going up against Claudio Silva at plus 210. Over 2.5 at plus 210, or sorry, over 2.5 at minus 145, under 2.5 at plus 115. Let's go ahead and let's start with the dog and Claudio Silva, because he's not that good on the feet. He swings some wild hooks. Don't get me wrong, they have bad intention on him, but not a lot of technique in his striking by any means. He has world-class jiu-jitsu. He's very, very good. He has some credible wins here, with wins over like Leon Edwards. He has wins over Danny Roberts. Okay. Leon's probably the best win he has, in all honesty. Nordine Taleb, Cole Williams. Oh God, he's not someone that's been very, very active, and that's part of the issue, because he is 39 years old now, so he's very, very old. And like I said, his striking's not the greatest. He is kind of hittable. He gets hit more than he dishes out, and the worst part about his game is his cardio. This man gasses. He will continue to fight. Don't get me wrong. Even when tired, he will continue to swing. You just see it coming a mile away. But you do see him slowing down. He was literally 14-1. Now all of a sudden he's 14-3. He's just getting older and older. People like James Krause and Court McGee are starting to just piece him up. So if he only has 3 minutes of cardio and then you're just a walking target, it's not very good for anyone that has any semblance of cardio, are going to win round 2 and 3. And it's basically round 1 sub or bust. That's really what it comes down to for him. On the flip side, we have Nicholas Dalby. We talk about Silva being 39. I mean, Dalby's 37. He's not young by any means. He is a decent striker, but he's hittable himself. In the UFC, he's been hit more than he's dished out. So neither one of these guys believe in striking defense for whatever reason. He does this weird breathing thing that pissed me off the last fight. I hope that was a one-time ordeal, but his last fight against Tim Means was just, he kept breathing really awkwardly and heavy. I think he's trying to control his breathing in a very peculiar way, because he slows down in fights too. He ended up losing a decision to Tim Means, and he kept fighting. He wasn't completely gassed, but even with this weird breathing, he still slowed down. My thing with him is that he has 65% takedown defense. He will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage, which I do like, especially being the better striker. But 65 is kind of a weird number, especially with Claudia, who wants to wrestle. He kind of has this karate style, which is weird because, like I said, usually karate style, they don't get hit often, but he gets hit a ton. So he's just not very good at it. Kind of reminds me of like that Souza guy that used to train with Machida that I think the UFC just cut. Bruno Souza. He's a karate stylist, but gets hit all the time. It's the exact same ordeal. So I don't know. They both kind of suck. I don't think Dalby should ever be a minus 250 favorite over anybody. If I had to bet this fight or pick a side, I would probably pick the Claudio Silva side, in all honesty. But in regards to a bet, God, I would probably just take the over. Even though Claudio Silva is 39 and has zero cardio, he's never been finished. So at least he'll be able to hang in there. And Dalby, he's just got to hang in there and not get subbed in the first 4 minutes. And then it's just cruising from that point. So the pick is going to be Silva. The bet, God, but then that kind of contradicts what I'm saying. It's weird, man. It's just a dog or pass situation. Don't bet this fight. It's the first fight. You can stay away from it. But if you feel impelled to bet every single fight, it's a dog or pass situation. Kind of the same for the next fight here. We have Mandy Bohm at minus 130 going up against Victoria Leonardo at plus 110. Over under also set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 230. Under 2.5 at plus 185. We'll start with Mandy because I think she sucks, man. She's not very good. You could say her striking's okay, but when I say that, it's literally just she has a good jab. That's it. She has no power. She has no volume. She's fought nobody. She will have a 6-inch reach advantage. That is huge. That's very, very big here. And she does like to counter. She just jabs or she tries to counter you. And sometimes the jab is her counter. So it's very odd, but she has no power, no fear on the feet, nothing for anyone to be scared of. She does try to mix in the wrestling, but she's just not very good at it. So I don't really know what to do with her. I want to say she trained at SBG Ireland, which is Conor McGregor's camp. And honestly, everyone at that camp sucks. So yeah, man, she has fought nobody. So literally the fight to get into the UFC, she fought someone that was 5-3, someone that was 3-0, 0-1, 2-3, 3-1, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. She fought yeah, Ariana Lipsky tore her apart. She's just not very good anywhere. She's just very, very long. She tries to use the size, but she just has no power and just a jab. So just gonna try to jab you to death. Victoria on the flip side, I don't think is very good either. Her striking's okay, but she's extremely hittable. But I mean, part of that reason is because her level of competition. This girl has had a tough schedule. Her very first fight in the UFC was against Manon Fiorot, who's in a #1 contenders fight in a few months here. Her other fight in the UFC was against Melissa Gatto, and Melissa Gatto has proven not to be bad. Tracy Cortez really struggled in that fight, and Melissa Gatto didn't even officially get the win. Leonardo broke her arm and tried to continue to fight. She did fight with the broken arm for a little, and then she just couldn't continue. The ref called it off. She wanted to keep going. So she will go out there and fight for your dollar. She's just scrappy. Even before the UFC, she fought Erin Blanchfield, who we know is a monster. She also fought Miranda Maverick, who we know is a monster. So she is losing these fights. But those are her losses, man. Miranda Maverick, Erin Blanchfield, Manon Fiorot, Melissa Gatto. All 4 of those girls are great. They're very, very good. I would honestly, you could almost say top 10 in the division, especially at flyweight. I would say all of them are top 10 in the division. So she lost to all the top 10. She beat everyone else. So how good is she actually? I don't know. But I do know Mandy's very, very bad. Victoria has the experience. Victoria's okay everywhere. She's 32. And she's the dog. She is the plus sign. So give me Victoria. I got her at a better odds earlier at plus 140. I actually liked her there. Now that she's only plus 110, people are onto it. I'm starting to like it less and less as that line goes down. But while it still says plus, I would bet Victoria, and I'm going to pick her to win as well. Next fight of the night is a weird one. We have Jay Herbert at minus 275 going up against Kyle Nelson at plus 230. Over under only set at 1.5. Over 1.5 is minus 115. Under 1.5 minus 115. Straight pick 'em. Let's start with Jay because he's someone I like a lot. He was on the last London card, and I'm pretty sure I bet Jay Herbert at every single one of his fights in the UFC. No, I did not against Moicano. I did bet him against Francisco Trinaldo. He killed Trinaldo and then got caught with that overhand where he kind of like fell backwards. Like it was an overhand to the forehead. It was very odd, but he got knocked out after, kind of running away with the fight. Moicano just buzzsawed him. There's nothing you can do there. Kama Worthy is one of the worst chins in the UFC. He found it, and that was it. Saw that coming. And I guess I didn't bet him against Ilia Topuria. So I've been actually doing a good job with him outside of the Francisco Trinaldo fight. Kind of have a good read on him because I've seen Leon Edwards fight before. This man is a main training partner for Leon and fights exactly like him. Very long, great striking, not a ton of power, but can hurt you. He is a threat on the feet. He's British. He always seems to have a reach advantage. The difference is he is a little hittable. And he did just get KO'd 4 months ago, so that does scare me in this fight. Usually I like for someone to take a lot of time before they do. Even the last time I remember talking about that was Jamie Malarkey, Michael Johnson. Jamie Malarkey got rocked in that fight. That chin, man, you need some time to recover. So, and Jay's a little chinny to begin with. He has 1, 2, 3, 4 losses, and are they all by finish? They are all by finish. 3 of them by knockout, 1 by sub. So it's a little concerning here. He might have a little bit of a chin issue, but he will have a 6-inch reach advantage. And his takedown defense isn't terrible. Because that's needed for the flip side with Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson is a berserker, man. First and foremost, he's generally a 145 pounder. He's coming up to 155. Secondly, he is someone that has absolutely no cardio, and he's pretty hittable, and we haven't seen him for 2 years. But he's 13-4, and you're thinking, how is this guy that keeps getting hit and has no cardio 13-4? Because he bull rushes you. He is insane. His striking's not terrible. He hits kind of hard. His wrestling's not the worst. He always needs to move forward. He's just one of these pressure fighters. The only problem is he only has about 5 minutes worth of pressure in him, and then he fades. God, look at his record. Yeah, Billy Q is not known for power whatsoever. He got clipped with the right cross and got put down mainly out of fatigue. He barely got up after the end of the second round. He won against Polo Reyes, but again, that was 1 minute and 30 seconds into the first round. Matt Sales beat him. That's not a good look, but that was also because it went into the third round. Diego Ferreira went into the second round and he lost. Then you have some wins here, but again, 4 minutes into the first. 1 minute into the first, 3 minutes into the first. Split decision, good for him. Jonathan Brookins is ass though. You're naked, choke in the third. That one's good. I'll give it to him. The guy he fought was 4-5 though, so let's keep an eye on that. 2 minutes into the first, a loss because it went all 3 rounds. 42 seconds, and then he had some to start that were decision wins against a pretty low level on the regional scene. So if you're very, very low level, he'll go all 3 rounds with you if you're durable. In a higher level, he's got to take you out early or he's going to just gas out. And Jay is clearly the better fighter. It's just you're going against someone that comes in, berserks you, and tries to win in the first round, and against someone who has a bad chin. It is concerning, but Nelson is coming up a weight class, and Jay is just a better fighter. You always take the better fighter. So the pick is going to be Jay. The bet, I wish it wasn't set at 1.5. That concerns me a little as well. I'll pick Jay, and I'll just pick him straight up, but do not throw him in a lot of parlays because he could be the apple pie shitter of the week. Just be aware that there is a possibility that he's going to be the one to blow up all your parlays. So is this guy. Next fight of the night, we have Muhammad Mokaev at -460 going up against Charles Johnson at +370. Over 2.5 is -105. Under 2.5 at -125. Dude, I think Muhammad is a phenomenal fighter. I think he has very, very good wrestling. He has very, very good striking. He has phenomenal jiu-jitsu. He's going to have the hometown advantage here being in London. The only problem I had with Muhammad is, 1, he's 6-0. So not a lot of experience. 2, he's 21 and he kind of fights like it at times. He's very, very good. He is the future. He could be a future world champ, but this push is coming and he's 21, man. He he's so young and he's gonna make some mistakes, and it's not his fault. It's just his age when you make that mistakes. And he has, I can't say he has a lack of experience. Yes, he's only 6-0, but that's on a professional level. You see how many amateur fights he has. Like, Jesus Christ, you never see anyone with this many amateur fights. But how did he get so many in? He's only 21 years old. Like, I don't understand what's happening. He's been fighting amateur since 2015. Wow. That's insane. That's been 7 years. So this dude was very, very young. He was a teenager fighting amateur scene, never suffered defeat. He is the truth. He's very, very good. It's just he's going to capitalize against the right people. And I think he's the superior fighter here. I just don't think that the line is correct because Charles Johnson's a dog. Charles Johnson is not bad by any means. He's an 11-2. He's making his UFC debut. He's had a good camp at Tiger Muay Thai. He has some good competition. Carlos Mota is not bad, and he was able to go in there and finish him in the 5th round. So he has championship round experience. He has good cardio. He cracks. He has a lot of power. His jiu-jitsu game is okay. I saw him in some bad predicaments, but he was able to actually, stay out of it, stay safe. His losses are to some Sean guy. I have no idea is who he is. And the other guy is Brandon Royval. And Brandon Royval's a top 5 guy in the division right now. So credible losses, good competition. He has a lot of experience, man. He's a grown man. He's not a 21-year-old kid. He's 31 years old. It's just he is making his debut. He does seem like he could be a little bit on the lower volume side. But there's a lot of questions that Muhammad's going to have to answer. And generally speaking, when these guys come into the UFC, they kind of shell up. But those are usually the young guys with great records. This guy is 11-2. He's 31 years old. He's paid his dues. And these older guys that come in, I think of who's the guy that fought Hani Barcelo? It was like a Victor. Was his last name Rodriguez? No, it's not Rodriguez. I just think of Victor, who just beat Hani Barcelos. You think of Emily Ducati last week. She was experienced coming in. It's a different animal. But this Muhammad kid is the truth, and it's his hometown. So I will still pick him to win. I would actually bet the over here. I don't think Muhammad's going to buzzsaw through him like he did Cody Durden. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. So the pick is going to be Muhammad, but you can't bet him at minus 500 almost at these lines. I would just take the over 2.5. Next fight of the night, we have Makwan Americani at plus 170 going up against Jonathan Pierce at minus 200. The over-unders weren't listed. Like, they were getting adjusted when I was writing them all down. So I have no idea. I'm assuming it's set at 2.5. But all in all, it doesn't matter because this is definitely a dog shot that I will be taking. Makwan is a very, very, very good wrestler over in Finland. He has phenomenal chokes, a very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. The issue with him is he's very low volume on the feet. He'll throw some flashy stuff and then do nothing and just stare at you. He's a very, very experienced. Oh God, he's over at SPG Ireland. I just talked about how bad of a camp that is. But even his losses in the UFC, man. I mean, Lerone Murphy's a killer. Kamwela Kirk isn't terrible, but I thought Makwan won that fight, in all honesty. Edson Barbosa, killer. Shane Burgos, killer. Arnold Allen, killer. Like, all of his losses are very, very credible losses in the UFC. And he has some decent wins. I mean, he has the win over Mike Grundy's okay. I guess the wins aren't that good. Danny Henry, Chris Fishgold, Jason Knight. God. So if you give him scrubs, he wins. If you give him killers, he loses. What is Jonathan Pierce to you? I can tell you what, Jonathan Pierce probably does have better cardio because that's where Makwan's biggest issue is. His low volume is bad, but his cardio is bad. I know that they've been working on it. I know that he went a while with Edson Barbosa. It looked a little better, but he is a notorious gasser. Fool me once, shame on you. But I watch this dude. I like Makwan, but he gasses all the time. Jonathan Pierce, on the flip side, generally has good cardio, but he did seem to gas at his last fight, so I am keeping an eye out for that. Jonathan Pierce also has very good wrestling. His striking's okay. It looks good when he's putting it out, but he's hittable. He's very easy to hit coming back the other way. I do love that he's at fight ready, and I do think he is okay jujitsu. He keeps putting himself in bad situations. He gets out of them all the time. I don't know if he's ever been submitted. In all honesty, I'm looking at it here. Yes, he has. He got submitted twice. His first 2 losses are by submission. He puts himself in some precarious situations. Christian Rodriguez almost finished him like 3 times. Kai Kamaka almost finished him. He puts himself in some chokes. I don't know why he continually does it, but he does it over and over and over again. He's one of these guys that will shoot a double and just leave his neck for you to just snatch up. And that's McQuan's bread and butter. I do like that Pierce is at fight ready. That is my favorite camp. They make anyone better, just wrestling in general. Game plans. Wrestling and game plans are what fight ready is known for. So I do like that he's there, especially being someone that likes to grapple. I don't like him at this line. Because you have 2 grapplers going at it. Neither one are that great on the feet. McQuan may be the better wrestler. And I think I do know McQuan is a better jiu-jitsu practitioner. Pierce, it's close with the wrestling, and Pierce has the better cardio. So we have cardio versus Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Generally, I would take the cardio, but man, Pierce throws his neck into places to get snatched up, and that's all McQuan does. It's just about style. So the pick is going to be McQuan, and the bet at plus 170, definitely McQuan. And I might get crazy and get real greedy and put McQuan by submission if they give me a good enough line. Over anything over plus 500, I'm taking, because I think that's the only way he wins. He might win by decision by just out wrestling him and holding him and controlling him. McQuan doesn't get a lot of control. It's usually take you down, and he's submission over position. So pick is McQuan. If you want to get greedy, you can go him by sub. Then that takes us to the next fight of the night, which is the biggest favorite on the card. We have Mcdaniel Wood at minus 520 going up against Charles Rosa at plus 410. Over 2.5 is minus 215. Under 2.5 at plus 175. Let's start with Mcdaniel Wood. I think Mcdaniel Wood's awesome. I think he's a really, really, really good fighter. We haven't seen him in a while, which sucks, but he's one of the best fighters that Great Britain has to offer, in my opinion. I think that he has phenomenal striking. I think that he's sneaky good on the ground. I think he's sneaky good wrestling. I think he's legitimately good everywhere. He has high volume. His cardio, he doesn't slow. He doesn't keep the same pace, but he doesn't like gas out or anything. He'll just, kind of temper it to normal levels after a while. He likes to go forward. He does nothing wrong. I like this kid a lot. You can say he's chinny because he's been knocked out before, but John Dodson hits like a truck. And Casey Kenny was able to keep up with the volume. So let's see, other ones. He had some losses real early in his career, but his other losses were in like 2016. The one in 2016 was Dr. Stoppage. So the last time he actually lost outside the UFC was in 2015. It was quite some time ago. And again, John Dodson and Casey Kenny are not bad losses. And that John Castaneda win is starting to age a little better, in all honesty. So is Andre Ewell. So he's a pretty good fighter. I really don't have any negatives about him. He's 145-pounder now, I suppose. He generally fights at 135. This one's at 145. I know the Casey Kenny one was at 145, but that was at short notice, and they're both 35-pounders, so it really doesn't matter. I guess the only negatives I have is that it's been a 2-year break, and he's generally a bantamweight. So that's the only thing I could look out for. On the flip side, Charles Rosa, I don't think he's that bad, but he's not good by any means. I can't tell you what he's great at. I guess the best thing he would be good at is his Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Outside of that, he has 38% takedown defense. The blueprint's out. If you want to beat Charles Rosa, just take him down and control him. Just stay safe. His striking's okay, but he has 0 power, so people just walk through it, which is even better for Nathaniel Wood. He is hittable as well, so he'll throw some stuff out there. It looks fine, but his defense is god awful, and you can hit him. He gets hit more than he dishes out. His cardio's good. He never slows down, so I'll give him that. But everything he's good at, Nathaniel Wood is better at. Maybe outside of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but why would Nathaniel Wood even want to take him down? Charles Rosa can't wrestle. So if Nathaniel Wood wanted to, he can just piece him up on the feet all day, all night. If he wants to go down to the ground, he can, and all he has to do is stay safe, because Charles Rosa isn't going to get up. He will stay on the ground. He is very comfortable on the ground. He thinks he's great on the ground, which he is, but he's not tapping anyone out. So all you have to do is take him down and stay safe. You don't have to really worry about him getting up. He will stay on the ground. So all in all, this is a catered matchup for Mcdaniel Wood, considering it's a British card. So the pick is going to be Mcdaniel Wood. The bet is going to be Mcdaniel Wood. That takes us to the next fight of the night. You're going to see a common theme here to where I think all of the Brits can win every single fight here. Same goes for Mark Diakese here. Mark Diakese minus 340 going up against Damir Hazdovic at plus 280. Over 2.5 is minus 140. Under 2.5 at plus 110. Let's start with Mark Diakese, our boy. He is a good striker. A little lower volume than I expected, considering how good he is at striking. He's only 29 years old, so he's entering his prime. He has a 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. He has good cardio. It showed in his last fight. You look at his losses; they're all good people. Rafael Alves is not as bad as people think, but he also just got clubbed and subbed. Like, he got rocked and choked out. It just happens to the best of us. Before that, Rafael Hazib is nasty. Clearly, might fight for a title soon. Nazareth Haqparast, nasty. Dan Hooker, nasty. Jakar Close, nasty. They're all he loses to all top 15 caliber fighters, and Hazib's case, top 5 fighters in the division. Lando Venata's a good win. Joe Duffy, Joe Duffy showed to be a little bit of a flame there. Slaviklov, we don't really know what he's going to be. That was his debut. But what we did see was D1 Diakese. Diakese came in and said, you know what? I think I'm the better striker, but Slaviklov cannot wrestle. It's the easiest path to victory. Why would I not just take him down, since I'm sneaky good at wrestling and no one knows about it? And Mark Diakese turned into D1 Diakese and came out and chain wrestled Slaviklov and won unanimously. He dominated. And in all honesty, Slaviklov is like a 30% takedown defense. Damir Hazdovic has a 37% takedown defense. I think we're going to see the same fight over again. Damir is okay striking. He has okay volume, but he does slow down and gas out a little bit after a while. He's someone that needs to go forward and blitz. Otherwise, he doesn't look as good. He's 35 years old, so they're the same age. There's no age. Or no, sorry. Casey's 29. He's 35. We've seen the best of Damir. He has pretty decent losses too, with Moicano and Giagos, but his wins, Polo Reyes, Nick Hine, Yancy Medeiros, all those guys have been cut from the UFC, literally. Alan Patrick, that's a loss. That's not a good loss anymore. So Marcin Held, not the greatest win anymore. He doesn't have any good wins. He literally has 0 quality wins in the UFC. And 37% takedown defense. So we're going to see the exact same fight that we just saw in Columbus from Diakese. So the pick is going to be Mark. The bet is going to be Mark as well. I don't like minus 340 as a value. I don't hate the over, but Damir, again, has no cardio in case he gasses. I'm just going to take Mark straight up and throw him in parlays. Next fight of the night is a weird one, man. I feel like I'm on an island. It's a Devitt Klein at plus 270 going up against Mason Jones at minus 325. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 105. Under 2.5 at minus 125. Dude, I like Devitt Klein. Devitt Klein, I think, is good. No one thinks he's good. They all think that he is a little bit of a fraud since coming to the UFC. Before the UFC, he had a whole bunch of just knockouts over and over and over. Didn't lose often, just had a shit ton of finishes. In all honesty, he came into the UFC. He missed weight, but he came out and he finished Shane Young. That's no easy task. Then his next fight against Mike Trizano, I thought he beat Mike Trizano, in all honesty. I really do. I think he got screwed. I think it was a very, very close fight. And Mike Trizano's not a bad fighter. I thought it was a very close fight. And then he would shoot a takedown to secure the rounds every single round. I thought it was a genius game plan, and I thought he won the fight. I just wish he threw a little more. If he threw just a touch more, it would have been definitive that he won. But for whatever reason, they gave it to Mike Trizano. I think he got screwed that night. Next fight against Nate Land, where we did see his weakness, his cardio. If you push a pace and you keep coming at him, he can crack. And he sure enough did. And Nate Landwehr was able to break him in the 3rd round. It was competitive up until, it's just when he's on his heels, it's very difficult to keep your cardio going as you're going backwards the entire fight. He cracked, man. There's nothing you can say there. He does get hit more than I would like, and a lot of that was the Nate fight, just moving backwards and just gassing out, going backwards like that. And then the next fight against Devontae Smith, it says split decision. I thought it was clearly Devitt Fine won. I didn't think it was that close. I think it was a clear 29-28 for Klein. He did slow down again a little bit at the end, but he already had the win in the bag, in my opinion. And he did take that fight on short notice. So if he's going to slow down a little, I will cut him a little bit of slack, considering he did take it on short notice. And that was up at 155 to where he fights at 145 often. So let's not forget that he took a fight up a weight class on short notice. So all in the power in the world to him. I think he's still a good fighter. It's just he's not getting easy matchups. Mike Trizano is not easy. Nate Landwehr is not easy. Devontae Smith is not easy. Mason Jones, not easy. Mason Jones is good, man. Mason Jones is good striking. Very, very, very high volume. He has good jiu-jitsu. He has great cardio. His wrestling, he's a judo black belt. It's pretty decent. He only has one career loss, and it was short notice against Mike Davis, and he looked good, man. He looked real good in that fight. I remember picking him as a dog. He was like a plus 120 dog, and he fought for my money, and I have nothing to say bad against him. And then he fought Alan Patrick. He was whooping his ass, and then there was the eye poke, and Alan wanted out. There's nothing you can do there. Then he fought David Onama, and it was a close fight. It was a lot closer than people thought it should have been. He was like a minus 1,000 favorite, but no one knew about David Onama at the time. David Onama is a featherweight, and he did make it real greasy. But Onama's a killer, and we know Onama's a killer. So that actually aged very, very well. And now he's fighting Ludovic Klein. Again, this is up at 155, and this is on short notice. It's on short notice for Jones. So I do want to watch him on the scales, make sure everything looks fine. He's not really one of these jacked guys. He kind of has a little bit of like a normal body. So he should be fine. I just want to double check whenever anyone takes anything from short notice. My biggest issue with Jones, the only issue I have, I think he's a great wrestler. I think he's a great striker. I think he's phenomenal on the ground. He's hittable as well. He does block punches with his face and depend on that chin. Again, he's never been knocked out. He's only 27 years old, so they're usually a little more durable as you're younger. It's just how long until these wars and your chin just breaks. I don't think it's going to break yet. But Klein, again, is someone that knocked everyone out earlier. He has a really, really hard head kick. I don't want Mason Jones taking that, especially at this line. So basically, is Klein going to catch him and knock him out since he doesn't have good striking defense? Or is Mason Jones going to take the Nate Landwehr approach and break Klein? I could see either way. I do think Klein is better than this line shows. I don't hate the Klein by KO line. On a pick and betting standpoint, I will pick Mason Jones to win. God. I'll just pick Mason Jones to win. On a bet, I don't even like the over-under. I like nothing about this fight. I want to stay the hell away from this fight. I think it's just a great fight. It's the last one on the prelims for a reason. I don't think you need to bet it. You can throw Mason Jones in a parlay, but he could shit the bed here too. If I'm going to bet it, I'm probably betting Klein by KO and I'm value chasing at that point. Just enjoy this fight. All right, next fight of the night. Speaking of value chasing, we have Paul Craig at plus 140 going up against Falcon Ozdemir at minus 165. Over 2.5 plus 180, under 2.5 minus 220. There's a reason the under 2.5 is minus 220, and it's because of both of these men. Let's start with Paul Craig, my boy. I love Paul Craig because Paul Craig has one route to victory, and it's sub. And he's always the dog, so the lines are always awesome. I'll tell you straight up, I bet him against Nikita Krylov by sub. I bet him against Jamal Hill by sub. I bet him against Shogun Hua. I did not do by sub, and thank God I didn't. Antigulov, I just bet him straight up. He won. He is my boy. He is a cash cow for me. I love this guy. He just keeps winning me money over and over and over. I have been riding the train with him. I have been calling how he gets it done. And because I'm on such a big run with him, I'm going to let you know that I am going to go against Paul Craig here. I think Paul Craig has great jiu-jitsu, probably the best jiu-jitsu in this weight class. I think his striking is ass. I think his wrestling is ass. I think he's very low volume. See him get dropped a ton. He's 16-4, and in all honesty, he got knocked out in the Krylov fight, but a second hammer fist woke him up. Then he hit him with a triangle. It was insane. Outside of that, Alonzo Menafield KO, Jimmy Crute submission, Khalil Roundtree KO, Tyson Pedro KO. He might have a little bit of a chin issue, and he does not have cardio. I don't like those two things being together. If there's someone I know is going to take him to the ground, that's awesome. Let me bet him. Jamal Hill said, I want to prove I'm better on the ground. And he took him down, and he got tapped out. Nikita Krylov can't help himself. He will shoot a takedown. He doesn't care who you are. He cannot resist the urge to shoot a takedown. He did. Paul Craig tapped him out. Volkan Ozdemir is not going to do that. Volkan does not play ground. He goes in, and his nickname is No Time, and he wants to spend no time in that octagon and wants to just knock you out. Volkan is very good striking. He trains with Kazmat. He has good volume. He has 80% takedown defense, which is clear cut what you need against Paul Craig. His losses are good, man. Yeah, he has 6 losses, but he has a loss to Magomed Ankalaev. There's no shame in that. I think Magomed is the next UFC champion. He has a loss to Yuri Prohaska. Yuri Prohaska is the current UFC champion. He has a loss to Dominic Reyes. I thought he beat Dominic Reyes. I had Dominic Reyes in that fight and said, ooh, boy, we got to wait with one. I thought Volkan won. What can you say? Anthony Smith, he was whooping Anthony Smith's ass. And then he gassed out and he got choked out, which sucks. But again, this is only a 3-round fight. His other loss was a championship fight against one of the GOATs and Daniel Cormier. So, I mean, these are all good losses. One that he got screwed in, one where he gassed out, learning experience, one against one of the GOATs, learning experience, one against the current champ, shit happens, one against what I think is going to be the future champ. These are fine losses. Like, what are you going to do here? And when you look at his record, I will tell you that the No Time moniker might be a little skewed. Rockage, he could not put away, and that was a close fight. He may not have won that one. So maybe the Dom one balances out. Alir Latifi he's really like a welterweight. He's not that big, and he's not that durable. He's not good on the feet. So, I mean, it is what it is, knocking out Alir Latifi. He knocked out Jimmy Manuel, who had no chin. Misha Serkinov, that's fine. OSP split decision. That's a shaky looking win nowadays. Then he has all these other finishes prior to the UFC. So in the UFC, he finished people with he couldn't finish Volkan. Oh God. In the UFC, he's finished Misha, which is fine. Jimmy, who had no chin, and Alir, he has no chin. So this No Time moniker, I don't know. I don't know if it's true, but Paul Craig has no chin. I love Paul Craig. That's my boy. I want Paul Craig to win. I just don't see how he does. The pick is going to be Volkan. The bet is going to be Volkan. Paul Craig is the come from behind kid. So I wanted to lock Volkan, but I can't because Paul Craig, you never lock anyone against Paul Craig. But I am going to pick Volkan to win, and I am going to end up putting him in a lot of parlays. Next fight of the night, we talked about the Brits having a chance to sweep the slate. Here's another one here. Meatball Molly McCann at minus 390. That sounds gross. Going up against Hannah Goldie at plus 320. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 255. Under 2.5 plus 205. Let's start with Meatball Molly. Meatball Molly is okay, man. She's not that bad, but she's not that good. She's an interesting cat. The knockout over Luana Carolina is not normal. Don't expect that. Most Meatball fights go to decision. The Ji-Hyun Kim fight, I put money on Meatball. She came through. I loved it. That's my girl. Lara Fritzen, I don't even remember that fight, in all honesty. This is the first fight I don't remember. I didn't even fight tape that one. I don't know what happened there. The Tyler Santos fight, I faded. Everyone was on Meatball. The line flipped. They thought Tyler Santos was a fake after her first loss. And then, man, Meatball got shit on. But she survived the entire time, which is nice. Outside of that, Julian Robertson choked her out. Whatever. A win over Priscilla Ketchabeating. It is what it is. Ariana Lipsky, it is what it is. Diana Balbita, it is what it is. All of these girls, what I will give Meatball is that she is a good striker. She just has a really short reach, but she is a good striker. She'll have the hometown crowd with her. Her losses are against Tyler Santos and Jillian Robinson and whoever this Lara girl is. Oh my God, it's Laura Procopio. I'm so dumb. I forgot she got married. It's Laura Procopio, and Laura is very, very good. So let me take that back. Laura's phenomenal. Tyler Santos, phenomenal. Jillian Robinson is okay. So she has very good losses in the UFC. She has good cardio. I will give Meatball that. And she will mix in the wrestling. Wrestling Meatball is not bad. She also has very, very good strategies. She knows Diana Belbita can't wrestle. Why would you not wrestle her? That was great on Meatball's behalf. Ariana Lipsky can't wrestle to save her life. Why would Meatball not wrestle her? Priscilla Cachoeira, same thing. Like, she is a British boxer, but she is short and she uses that to her advantage and has a good double leg. That's smart. That's just good strategy, and that's the type of people I like betting on. So I don't think that Meatball's very good, but I do think she's very smart, and she does have good paths to win. So I do respect Meatball. On the flip side, Hannah Goldie, instant fade. She has good volume. 50% takedown defense is bad. Emily Whitmire was making it look easy. Her striking is fine, but she has zero power whatsoever. It's very odd because you look at these cans and you're like, oh my God, she is going to knock out everyone. Zero power whatsoever. 50% takedown defense. And the biggest going fade right now is the OnlyFans fade. Hannah Goldie has an OnlyFans, baby. We saw it again last week in Jessica Panay. The OnlyFans fade is undefeated. If they have one, you fade them. And the Goldie has one. Don't even have to break this fight down. Meatball by murder. Nah, it'll probably go the over in all honesty. Minus 255. Meatball's minus 390. Just play it safe. Put Meatball on the parlay because she's going to win. It's going to take a lot for Hannah to go out there and win. She'd have to dominate because the crowd is going to be all over Meatball. Speaking of our boy Nikita Krylov earlier, he's a minus 190 favorite in this next fight, going up against Alexander Gustafsson at plus 160. Over 2.5 is plus 105, under 2.5 minus 135. Let's start with Nikita Krylov. I don't think he's that good. I think he's all right. Some people think he's too good. Some people don't respect him, and he's underrated. He's just kind of a weird guy there. He's the definition of a gatekeeper. He's good everywhere. He has good striking. His last loss to Paul Craig, he looked phenomenal before he got caught. Lost before that against Magomed Ankalaev. He made it close, and that's tough to do. Johnny Walker, that's an okay win. Glover Teixeira, the former champ, lost by split decision. OSP, an okay win. He lost to Jan, but Jan was a former champ. So, I mean, Misha Serkinov caught him. He doesn't have bad losses whatsoever, except for that OSP. That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. But outside of that, in the UFC, his losses are fine. I don't know, man. He's just literally a generalist. He is not great at anything. He's not good at anything. He's just kind of there. He's decent at everything. He's 30, so he's not overly old. He's not overly young. He is just a gatekeeper generalist. He is a straight 7 or 8 across the board on all areas. He has a 7 in all areas. On the flip side, we have Alex coming back. Man, this is greasy, man. Alex, last time we saw Alex was 2 years ago at heavyweight. He had lost the desire to fight. He said it himself. He was talking retirement. He ended up actually retiring, and now he's coming back, and he's coming back at light heavyweight. I don't know what to do with this guy. In his prime, he's someone that almost beat John Jones. In his last fight, he's someone that's losing to 40-year-olds at heavyweight. So I don't know, man. He has very good striking. His cardio is okay. He has 83% takedown defense, so he's hard to take down. God, he has good losses, and I'll have a 2-inch reach advantage here. I don't know, man. I just don't know what to do here. I think the line is off. I don't know about him at plus 160, but Krylov almost won a striking battle against Magomed Ankalaev. That's tough. That's tough. This is probably going to be predominantly a standing fight with Alex's takedown defense on paper. So, God, Alex is probably the better striker. I just don't know what Alex is going to show up. I mean, he's 35, so he's on the tail end too. What the odds, man? Plus 160. I need to watch weigh-ins. You need to see if Alex looks like he wants to be there, because the last two fights against Anthony Smith and against Fabricio Verdum, Alex looked like he didn't want to be there. He looked like he was there for a paycheck. So is Alex here to be serious, or is he just here for a paycheck and it's close by with it being overseas? I need to know, and I need to read his body language. I haven't listened to all of the fighter interviews yet from Media Day. I only listened to Patty's and Jordan's and Tom's thus far. So I don't know. I'm going to give a listen. I'm going to watch him closely at weigh-ins, and then we'll have to make a judgment. So the pick right now is going to be Nikita. The bet, I don't hate the over at 2.5. It sounds crazy, but Nikita doesn't go out there and just get KO'd often. Even the ones where he lost recently, they were by decision or submission. So I don't know if he just goes out there and gets KO'd. The over's plus money. That's probably the way I would take it and not pick a side. But I don't know, man. You watch this fight carefully. Pick Nikita. The bet would be the over 2.5 plus money. All right, next fight of the night, we are looking at, speaking of the British sweep, we have Paddy Pimblett at minus 250 going up against Jordan Levitt at plus 210. This is the people's main event. Over 2.5 is plus 140, under 2.5 minus 175. Let's go ahead and just start with Paddy the Baddy. Paddy is, everyone can't wait to fade this guy, and for good reason. I don't think Paddy's very good. I think he is very, very underrated jiu-jitsu. I think he's very good on the ground. Wrestling, not the greatest. Striking, not the greatest. His chin checks out. He can get dropped. I've seen him drop multiple times, but I haven't seen him go completely out yet. He will have, you want to talk about a hometown advantage, Paddy Pimblett, man. He has plays the same song, and the crowd loses it as if it's a title fight every time he comes out. They love Paddy Pimblett. He has very high volume, but his schedule, man. I think the people he was fighting in Cage Warriors and Julian Erosa were were better than the people he's been fighting in the UFC. I mean, the UFC, Luigi Vanderimi, I think is very, very good. I don't think he should have been cut, but it is what it is. He's young. He'll probably be back. So Luigi's actually a good win. I can take nothing against him there. Vargas, not so much. Jordan Levitt, not so much. So he is being set up to win here, especially with Jordan Levitt. Jordan Levitt is very good jiu-jitsu. His wrestling is just okay. It's not like it's going to be easy for him to get Paddy down to the ground. And his striking is non-existent. I don't know what he has outside of it. His last fight he won, he landed 56 leg kicks. All he did was leg kick Trey Ogden. That's literally all he did. Once he's on top, he is position over submission. He doesn't want you back up. He will just smother you and hold the position. But he can't really wrestle. He just ends up there. But his striking, man, as long as Paddy can keep this on the feet, Paddy's going to kill him on the feet. Like, absolutely kill him. Jordan does not like to get hit. When he does, he kind of flinches and falls back. And Paddy's going to come back like a berserker. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in this fight. I think it's a setup fight for Paddy. I think Paddy wins pretty easily, but we'll see. The pick is going to be Paddy. The bet is going to end up, God, I hate that. Actually, minus 250 is not bad. Pick is Paddy, bet is Paddy. All right, then the last two fights. We have Action Man Chris Curtis, minus 105, going up against Jack Hermanson at minus 115. Over 2.5, minus 125, under 2.5, plus 105. Let's start with Action Man Chris Curtis, who's taking this fight on short notice. He has very, very good striking. He has great takedown defense. His power is not bad. He's a welterweight. That's the issue with him. He is not a middleweight, but he knows that he's older. He's 35 years old. So he said he's here for a good time, not a long time, kind of like Michael Chandler, who came in very old. So he's just fighting up in middleweight because he can take fights more often. I also don't like that he has a wrist injury that everyone knows about. He fought with it last time against Rodolfo Vieira, and obviously probably re-injured it. I'm starting to get real serious Bobby Green against Islam vibes, as Chris Curtis is the one that's going to be wanted on the feet with the wrist injury, going up against a decorated wrestler. But on the flip side, I mean, his takedown defense is very good. And the major thing is he's studied Jack Hermanson already. Sean Strickland is one of his best friends, his training partner, and just fought Jack Hermanson last year. And he was, not only did he help with Sean Strickland, he was in his corner. So he saw Jack Hermanson live. He was coaching on how to beat Jack Hermanson. So this is more than just a short notice fight for him. He's already done the tape. He's already seen the man in person and fought him. On the flip side, in Jack, I feel bad, man. I think Jack is a great fighter. I think he's a great guy. I think his striking is underrated. I think it's very, very good. I think his jiu-jitsu is phenomenal, and everyone knows that. And his wrestling is pretty good, in all honesty. He's good everywhere. He's even going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here. And he has good cardio. Chris Curtis's cardio is better. But Jack is good everywhere. It's just he's 34 years old and he's getting the shit end of the deal, man. He keeps fighting these people on short notice. Marvin Vettori beat him. That was short notice. If Action Man wins, that was short notice. Jared Cannonier, I want to say, was short notice. There's a lot of short notice stuff going on here. Edmund Shabazian, he was able to beat. He beat Kevin Gastelum pretty easily. Souza, David Brancher, and Mearshart. He has some good wins. I think Jack Hermanson is going to forever be a number 5. He'll always be the 5th best person in the weight class. Never any worse, never any better. But styles, man, styles make fights. And if Jack is, even though Jack has sneaky good stand-up, if he's forced to stand up with Chris Curtis, it's going to be an issue. If he gets Chris Curtis down, he can tap him out. I understand why this line is so close, but the money's coming in on Jack. If I see another plus sign next to Action Man, I'm going to have to take it. And Jack's pretty durable. I don't think he just goes out there and gets knocked out. So right now, the pick is going to be Chris Curtis. The bet would probably end up being the over 2.5, in all honesty. Chris Curtis has a lot of knockouts here, but he's not some potent middleweight knockout finisher. That's not what he does. That's not his game. He breaks you as the fight goes along. It's only 3 rounds here, so the pick is going to be Chris. The bet is going to end up being the over, unless I see a plus sign next to Chris. Then I'm pulling the trigger on Chris Curtis. And that takes us to the main event. We have minus 130 on Tom Aspinall, plus 110 on Curtis Blaydes. Over under set at 3.5. Jesus. Over 3.5 is plus 140. Under 3.5 at minus 175. I don't know what the fuck to do with Tom Aspinall. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. I think he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He is great on the ground. I think he has sneaky good wrestling that people were not aware of before the Andre Arlovski and the Volkov fight, and we all know how good his stand-up is, training with like the links of Tyson Fury and such. He's a very, very, very good technical striker on the feet. He's a boxer predominantly. He's a black belt on the ground, so it's like playing with fire. Where do you go? And he's a good wrestler, so he can dictate where the fight's going to take place. He's good everywhere. Damn near undefeated. He has 1 loss because of an illegal elbow. He was dominating the fight, came down 12-6. They called it. It's not like as he went out there and got starched. And his other loss was a heel hook where he just got caught in a submission, his 4th fight in the pros. So he's already had the learning experiences with DQs and getting caught in submissions. He's not a old guy. He's only 29, which is super young for heavyweight. He's got the big fight experience against Volkov, the main event experience with Volkov. He's beaten prospects in Sergey Spivak. He's beaten veterans in Andre Arlovski. He's beaten the scrubs in Alan Badeau and Jake Collier. He's done it all. He's literally done it all. I have no quarrels with Tom Aspinall. I think Tom Aspinall could be champion of the world if he has good cardio. We have no idea. All of his fights in the first round. We've only seen him in the second round 1 time in the UFC, and it was 1 minute into the second round against Andre. So we don't know what his cardio is like. And he did look like he was slowing down in that fight. However, he almost put Andre away and he might have punched himself tired, but then he came out and blast doubled and finished it on the ground. So I don't know. He may have a cardio issue. He may not. It may not matter if he finishes everyone early. And Curtis Blaydes is someone he can finish early because Curtis Blaydes might have a little bit of a chin issue. I can't say for certain he does. He has 3 losses, all 3 by knockout, so it looks that way. He also got rocked real badly by Rosenstruck in their fight. But the thing is, 2 of those knockouts out to Francis Ngannou, who's the hardest puncher in the UFC. His other knockout loss was to Derek Lewis, who has the most knockouts in the UFC. And I just mentioned him getting dropped by Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck is probably the third hardest puncher in the UFC. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to do with this guy. It's phenomenal wrestling, the best wrestling in the division, hands down. His cardio checks out. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage here. But I do notice that he's been striking a little more on the Chris Daukaus fight. I don't even think he shot one takedown. The Rosenstruck fight, he was striking until he got clipped, and then he started wrestling. Derek Lewis, he wasn't wrestling. The one time he went to wrestle, he got clipped with an uppercut going in, but he won the first round on the feet. Alexander Volkov, he was wrestling, and same against Shamil and Jr., Justin Willis. So it's just, as of like, he's been striking a lot more than he usually does, and I think his striking is getting better. That could be to his detriment because Tom Aspinall's too fast and powerful. If he is chinny, this is someone that can catch him. If he can just wrestle Tom, that could wear on Tom's cardio, and you think Tom's cardio could be bad. So I personally don't really want to pick a side. I'd rather just pick the under 3.5 at -175. I think those are the best odds. But the pick is going to be Tom Aspinall. The bet, you know what? I was going to say bet dog or pass Curtis Blaydes. I think, yeah, stay safe. I would do the under 3.5 at -175. And that's UFC London, Blaydes versus Aspinall. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. Give a follow over on YouTube, over on Twitter, over on TikTok, Instagram. Again, we did make changes on Twitter last week, so make sure you pay attention. All in all, we're on a roll. 6 or 7 last week. Let's keep the streak going. Let's keep getting paid, baby.